So, if you like to play horror games where you play as a little girl known as Six who wears a yellow hoodie and has to escape from giant monsters in a ship called the Maw, then you probably would have heard of Little Nightmares. If you don't know what Little Nightmares is, well, I pretty much just summed up what it is, but I did mention that there were giant monsters that Six, the protagonist, had to escape from. And in this video we're going to be making those monsters into actual My Singing Monsters. But the thing about this video that's different is that we're not actually just going to make it look exactly like the monster and stuff. We're only going to take the characteristics of the monster and make a monster out of that. Like, for example, let's take the janitor. One of his main characteristics is he has long arms. So our monster will have long arms. And yeah, that's pretty much what we're going to be doing in this video. So let's get started. And by the way, I'm going to be doing the main 4 monsters in Little Nightmares 1, which are the janitor, the twin chefs, the Gets, and the lady. So yeah, I guess we'll just get started with that now. And if you guys want to see more videos like this, make sure to like and subscribe. And I might do a part 2 with the Little Nightmares 2 monsters. Alright, well, let's get right into it. Before we begin this video, here's some warning. Little Nightmares is a pretty scary game, and if you found any of those monsters from before scary, or you just don't like horror games in general, then I would suggest clicking off this video, because Little Nightmares is a pretty scary game, and the monsters are also pretty scary. Alright, just wanted to point that out. Now the video really begins. So let's start off with the first monster that you meet when you first play Little Nightmares 1, which is none other than the janitor, also known as Roger, but most people call him the janitor. So let's take a look at the janitor's characteristics. So his main characteristics are he has quite long arms, but short feet. He doesn't have any eyes, so he can't see. And some of the less important characteristics are that he wears a suit and a hat. So now I guess we just have to make a monster out of these characteristics. So I guess let's get started with it. Presenting the first Little Nightmares monster, Janitor. This one did turn out to look pretty much just exactly like the janitor, but I think it's still pretty good. And for the twin chefs, which are the next monsters we'll be doing by the way, I'll try to make them look less like the monster and just take the characteristics. But anyway, now let's hear Janitor's sound. But actually, before we hear a sound, sorry about the delay, here's a few things that I forgot to say in the intro. So yes, this is based off of Nova MSM's turning Secret of the Mimic Monsters into My Singing Monsters. And also, the reason I decided to make this series now is because Little Nightmares 3 is coming out soon. October 9th actually. So yeah, we're really close to that. And when that does come out, I'll also make monsters for those monsters in Little Nightmares 3, if you guys want me to do that. Alright, well, I guess now let's actually hear Janitor's sound. So, now that Janitor is done, it's time to give it a rating out of 10. And also, the inspiration for Janitor will be on screen. You know, the janitor. Yeah. So, for Janitor, I'm going to have to give it a 7 out of 10. I really like how this one turned out. I know I made it look like pretty much exactly like the monster, but I still think it's a pretty cool monster. And I just like the fact that he uses his long arms as balance and he plays his arms as a guitar. I just thought that was really cool. So yeah, definitely a 7 out of 10 for me. Okay, now let's look at the characteristics of the next monsters we'll be doing, the twin chefs. So, the main characteristics are, there are 2 of them, and they wear masks, if you didn't know that. And they're both like really ugly and sluggish. And some of the less important characteristics are that they have like, chef uniform because they're chefs. And yeah, I guess we're just gonna have to make a monster out of these characteristics now, so let's get right into it. Presenting my next Little Nightmares monster, the Sheffilas. I actually really like how this one turned out. I just think it turned out like amazing. I just think it's really good. Like all the details of the monster I think turned out really nice. And I didn't make this one look like pretty much exactly like the twin chefs like I kinda did with Janitor. Well anyway, let's hear the Sheffilas sound. So, now that the Sheffilas are done, it's time to give it a rating out of 10. And of course, the inspiration for the Sheffilas of twin chefs will be on screen. So, for the Sheffilas, if I'm being honest, 9 out of 10. I just love how this one turned out. The sound's amazing, design amazing. I just think it's really, really good. Like, definitely one of my best monsters. I know the sound, like, the 2 sounds may not sync, but I think they still both sound really good. I just think the chef designs turned out really good as well. Yeah, I just think because of all that stuff, it deserved a 9 out of 10. Alright, the next monster we'll be doing is the guests. And this is just one design variant. There are multiple, but we're just going to be basing it off this one. But I may also use the other 2 for some other details. So, let's take a look at the characteristics of the guests. So the main characteristics of the guests are they're fat, they eat a lot of meat, like they love meat. Once again, like the chefs, they're a bit like ugly and sluggish, but not as much as the chefs. And some of the less important details are they usually sit at a table and they like to crawl on the floor sometimes to try to like eat 6. And yeah, I guess we just have to make a monster out of these characteristics, so let's get right into it. Presenting the third Little Nightmares monster, Gruest. I actually really like this one as well. I just think all these monsters are turning out really good. And yes, I based this off the design I showed you before. So that's why it looks like this and not some of the other guests. But if you want, I can make red epic versions which take the designs of those guests. Well anyway, let's hear the Gruest sound. So, now that the GRUS is done, it's time to give it a rating out of 10. And the guest inspiration I used for the GRUS will be on screen. Okay, for the GRUS, I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10. I just really like how this one turned out. I also think the sound was pretty good, and I just like the design as well. I just really like how this one turned out. And I don't think it's as good as the Shepherdess, but I still think it's a pretty good monster. So yeah, definitely an 8 out of 10 for me. The final Little Nightmares monster we'll be doing is the Lady. She's like the main antagonist of the game, kind of. But yeah, let's take a look at the Lady's characteristics. So her main characteristics are that she wears a mask. She is wearing like a brown dress, I guess, is kind of one of her main characteristics. And some of the less important characteristics are that she's floating. I mean, yeah, we don't know that much about the Lady, so that's pretty much all the characteristics we have. So yeah, I guess we have to make a monster out of these characteristics. So let's get right into it. Presenting the final Little Nightmares monster, Wisp. Now you might be thinking, oh, this isn't as mysterious as the Lady. Well, wait until you hear the sound. And speaking of the sound, let's hear Wisp sound now. So, now that Wisp is done, it's time to give it a rating out of 10. And of course the inspiration for Wisp, you know, the Lady, will be on screen. Okay, so for Wisp, I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10. I just think this is really nice. I didn't think it would actually turn out this good. Like when I saw the Lady, I was just like, oh, how am I gonna make a monster out of this? But it turned out pretty good. Also, I like the sound. I just think it was very interesting. And also, I just like the animation. I think it's pretty cool. So yeah, I definitely think a 7 out of 10. I think it's a pretty good monster. Alright, well, that was 4 Little Nightmares monsters turned into actual mouse-eating monsters. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Tell me if you want me to make a part 2 with the Little Nightmares 2 monsters, or maybe even a part 3 with the Little Nightmares 3 monsters. Because like I said, Little Nightmares 3 is going to release really soon. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the concept of the video, and I guess I'll see you guys next time. Bye.